another savior, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, Muhammadike, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, Prince of Ibeku, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, and I check Igbo for nothing. Free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, free him. Another savior, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, Muhammadike, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, Prince of Ibeku, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, and I check Igbo for nothing. Free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, free him. Another savior, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, Muhammadike, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, Prince of Ibeku, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, and I check Igbo for nothing. Free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, free him. Another savior, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, Muhammadike, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, Prince of Ibeku, holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior, and I check Igbo for nothing. Free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
If I'm the president, I will give Igbos the right to go and have their Biafra. And anybody from Delta or anywhere who want to join them should join them to have their Biafra. After all, Lesotho is in the center of South Africa, so that they will have their Biafra. Mr. President, let all the other nationalities, let us meet. If people say they want to go, let us allow them to go.
But you know where this video diverts me.
The only solution, the only guarantee for our future, the future of my children, the future of their children, the future of generation unborn is Biafra. If you are not in support of Biafra, you are the traitor. You are a traitor. You are a traitor. And the people, the generation that are coming, they will tell you if you are right. They will speak on your face. They they will urinate and defecate on their grave for betraying them. You come to talk, you are afraid, you are laying liver, you are a coward, you don't want to stand up and fight, you want to remain where you are. I will not remain with you. Biafran army, the military of Ghana will be the core foundation of the Biafran people. Our military, they say, if you want peace, prepare for war.
President Bola Tinubu, let the Igbos go. Let the Igbos go. National Assembly, let the Igbos go. Ding 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 ding, tom 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 tom, ding 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 ding, let the Igbos go. Yeah. President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, please, in the name of God.
We cannot protect the people, allowing Nnamdi Kanu to come out. Maybe because of one man, hundreds of people will be killed every day. Allow him to come out. It's as simple as that. The life of these people are more precious, more important than keeping Nnamdi Kanu in the prison. You do not have the power, the strength, the wherewithal to provide security for the people. We are not talking of property. We are not talking of, you don't have. It's as simple as that.
This video will break everything down for you in simple English, whether you support IPOB or not. This is not the time to ignore justice. It is time to open your eyes. Why you should watch till the end. In the next few minutes, we will explain why the Nigerian government may have no legal case left. How this new legal reply exposes deep cracks in the prosecution story. Why international attention is rising again. What this means for Nnamdi Kanu, the Nigerian judiciary, and the Nigeria's image. So don't just watch for gossip. Watch for justice. Watch till the end. The July 14 legal reply, a silent bomb that exploded in court. On July 14, 2025, inside the courtroom in Abuja, something powerful and silent was filed. It didn't make breaking news, but in the legal world, it was an earthquake. That day, Chief Kanu Agabi, son, one of Nigeria's most respected legal minds, submitted a reply on points of law in defense of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This reply was not emotional. It was cold, sharp, and filled with solid constitutional arguments. It is focused on one thing. The prosecution has no case, and that is not just an opinion. It is based on legal facts. Chief Agabi made it clear the federal government failed to respond to many important legal issues raised earlier. They didn't answer questions about lack of evidence. They ignored the absence of any victim. They stay silent on the essay nature of their so-called witnesses. In law, that silence means one thing: admission. Imagine accusing someone of a crime, then failing to respond when their lawyers say, "Show us the evidence." That silence becomes your confession, and that is exactly what has happened in this case. Chief Agabi also exposed how the government tried to twist the law, change charge mind, trial, and bring audio clips without proof of source. His legal reply may have ended the trial without anyone realizing. It is the kind of legal document that destroys a case quietly but completely. IPOB, in their July 22 press release, call it a watershed moment. They are right. It was not just a reply. It was a legal bullet straight into the heart of the prosecution argument. And what's more shocking, the government hasn't recovered from it. This reply may become the final nail in the coffin of this controversial trial. No victims, no crime, the biggest legal loophole. One of the simplest questions in any criminal case is this: who was armed? Yet, in the high-profile trial of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu involving terrorism, incitement, and national security, not a single victim has been presented. Not one Nigerian citizen came to court to say, "I was attacked because of Kanu's brokers." Not one community said he caused violence here. Nothing. Now, this is not just a moral issue. It is a legal bombshell. In law, you must prove that a crime was committed. You must show the damage. You must bring the victim or at least credible witnesses. Without that, your case is imagination. Chief Agabi and the defense team used this weakness to break the case wide open. They reminded the court that in criminal law, there is a principle: no harm, no crime. The entire case has been built around emotions, media headlines, and fear, but none of those can stand in court without facts. So, ask yourself, how can a man be on trial for years with no victim? How can he be accused of incitement when no one said they were incited? If this was any other country, the case would have collapsed years ago. But here, it is being dragged for political reasons. The legal team has now reminded the judge that justice must not be based on emotion. It must be based on evidence. And in this case, there is none. Edited audio clips, evidence, or propaganda. The federal government claims it has evidence that Nnamdi Kanu incited violence. So what did they present? Not sworn testimony, no any proof, just edited voice recordings. But here is the problem: these clips have no source, they have no certification, they were not tested by any lab. Nobody can say if they were tampered with. Nobody even knows where they came from. In fact, the prosecution didn't even bring an expert to confirm that the voice is truly Kanu's. This is not how evidence works. In real criminal cases, especially those involving national security, forensic experts are brought in to analyze recordings. Original files must be submitted. The full context must be shown. But in this case, only fragments of audio were presented, sharp edited. IPOB lawyers call it what it is: propaganda. They argue that these recordings are illegal. Under the Evidence Act, you can't bring a piece of audio heavily edited and use it to jail a man. That is not justice. That is abuse of process. Even worse, nobody testified that they acted violently after hearing Kanu's voice. So what exactly did these clips prove? Nothing. This is why IPOB says this is not a trial, this is political theater. If Nigeria wants to be respected globally, then its courtroom must not be used to play edited videos as evidence. If the government wants justice, it must bring real, verified facts. Until then, this trial has no leg to stand on. The transmitter that never existed. One of the most dramatic parts of the prosecution charge is count 7. In it, they accused Nnamdi Kanu of importing a transmitter into Nigeria, implying that he was planning to spread rebel message or coordinated attacks. But when you read deeper, you begin to see something strange. There is no custom document showing importation, no shipping invoice, no bill of landing, no record from the Nigeria Ports Authority, no clearing agent, no date of import, no receipt. In short, no proof. So what is this charge based on? This is not a Hollywood movie. This is a courtroom. When you accuse someone of importing a device, you must prove how it entered the country, where it came from, who cleared it, and how it got into the defendant's hands. Chief Agabi pointed this out in court. He said this charge is fabricated, fiction, and he is right. The Nigerian legal system has rules. It cannot jail people over imaginary importations. That is why IPOB said in their July 22 release that the charge is not just false, it is laughable. Count 7 was supposed to be a major blow. Instead, it is a legal embarrassment. When the government tried to reverse the burden of proof. Another shocking thing in this trial is how the prosecution is trying to shift blame. Instead of proving Kanu guilty, they are asking him to prove he is innocent. They want him to explain his words, to justify what he said, to interpret his brokers. But that's not how the law works. In Nigeria Constitution, specifically section 36(5), every citizen is presumed innocent until proven guilty. That means the burden of proof is on the government, not the accused. Kanu doesn't need to say a word in his defense if the government cannot prove their claims. That is the law. But the prosecutors are trying to change the rules. They are pointing fingers and saying, explain this, defend this, but they have not first shown that a crime occurred in the first place. Chief Agabi and his team call this a dangerous move, because if this becomes a trend, then tomorrow any Nigerian can be arrested, accused, and forced to defend themselves without evidence. This is how dictatorship starts. This is how free speech dies. If the prosecution cannot prove Kanu committed a crime, then they should stop the trial. It is not his job to explain himself. It is their job to prove guilt. And right now, they are failing. A charge sheet full of contradictions. The charge sheet is the foundation of every criminal case. It tells the court what the accused is being tried for. It must be clear, consistent, and legally correct. But in this case, the prosecution's charge sheet is falling apart. First, it contains vague language. The offenses are not clearly defined. Some charges repeat the same accusation in different words. Others refer to laws that don't apply anymore. Most shocking, one of the charges was based on a law that was amended after the trial started. Yes, you heard that right. They tried to charge the law midway through the trial to fit their argument. Unconstitutional. You cannot shift the legal goalposts during a game. It is illegal, unethical, and unacceptable in any court of justice. Chief Agabi exposed this. He told the court, if your charge sheet is faulty, your entire case must be dismissed. You can't build a house on a broken foundation, and that's exactly what this charge sheet is. Where is Justice Omotosho in all this? All eyes are now on one man, Justice Omotosho. He is the judge overseeing this trial, and he has a hard decision to make, not just for Kanu, but for Nigeria justice system. IPOB, in their July 22 press release, directly called him out. They told him, this is your moment. The prosecution has failed. The case is broken. The defense has shown the truth now. It is time for judgment. This is not just about one man's freedom. It is about judicial independence. Can Nigeria judges stand firm when politics enter the courtroom? Justice Omotosho now faces a test that many judges avoid. Do you follow the evidence, or do you follow government pressure? The world is watching. Nigerians are watching. History is watching. Will he dismiss the case and uphold the law, or will he bend to fear and allow injustice to continue? That answer will define not just this trial, but his entire legacy. How the prosecution used emotion instead of evidence throughout this trial, The prosecution has used emotional arguments, painting Kanu as a threat, showing edited broadcasts, repeating political statements. But the truth is this: emotion is not evidence. No matter how much noise you make, if you cannot prove a crime, then the court must dismiss the case. Prosecutors kept referring to national security, public peace, and unity, but they didn't show facts. They didn't present documents. They didn't bring witnesses. IPOB legal team saw through this. They told the court, don't fall for sentiment. You are a court of law, not a court of emotion. The justice system must work with logic, not with fear. And that is why this case continues to fall apart. The law is clear. Section 36 of the Nigerian Constitution say it clearly: everyone is innocent until proven guilty. That means you don't need to explain yourself unless someone proves you broke the law. But in this trial, the government want to flip it. They want Kanu to prove that he is innocent without first proving that he is guilty. That is illegal. IPOB's lawyers reminded the court the government must do the hard work. They must bring facts. They must bring real evidence. They cannot expect Kanu to confess to a crime they cannot even define. This is the danger of this trial. It is not just about Kanu. It is about setting a terrible example. If the court allow this, then tomorrow any critic of the government can be jailed for saying nothing wrong. Still no victims, still no crime. Let's go back to the most basic facts. No victims has been presented. Not one, not a family, not a community, not a single person. If Kanu truly caused pain or harm, where are the victims? Why has nobody come to testify? Why is there no police report naming anyone who suffered from his actions? This is why IPOB said this is not prosecution, this is persecution. The government has used the media to spread fear, but when it comes to court, fear is not enough. You need proof, and right now they have none.